Good morning and Happy New Year's 2024 to everybody, all the learners, and wish you all the best for the New Year's. And so today, as usual, I am Biswas, Academic Counselor of IGNU. So today again it is MMPH004 specialized paper of HRM, Industrial and Employment Relations. So today we have to discuss the block number 3, that is our collective bargaining. So collective bargaining. So there are 3 units. There is unit number 10. Collective bargaining itself, and then unit number 11, that is your bargaining structures and process and agreements, and unit number 12 is your negotiations. In unit number 10, in the collective bargaining, where we have to discuss about the introductions and your concept and what are the functions, then what are the structures, then the nature and the contents and type of bargainings, then bargaining theories, models, and what are the elements of the bargaining. Similarly, in unit number 11, the bargaining structure, process, and agreement, where we have to discuss about the introduction again, then process, what are the process of the bargaining process, then settlements, some of the settlements, then collective agreements. That is all very crucial things, the agreements, and the condition for success of bargaining. What are the conditions to be required for the success of the for collective bargaining? And unit number 12, that is negotiations, where again you have to understand what is the negotiation, clear the concept and the process, what are the process of the negotiation process, then what are the models of the negotiations, how and why the negotiations, that is why it is required. Then some of the guidelines we have to see in the negotiation process. There are some of the guidelines and some of the principles there. And for settlement, there is some long-term preparation for the long-term agreement, settlement. So that we have to see. Then through this process, it is required, it demands some of the skills required. That means skills and traits, what are the good things, capability is required for the negotiator during the negotiating. And as a team, what are the requirements that are required? Then some tactics are there, and some strategies, some of the strategies for the negotiations. So this is the structure of the today's sessions. And now to go some of the concept, clearing the concept of what is the collective bargaining basically. The different theories are there. The term collective bargaining is originated in the writings of the Sydney and Beatrix Wave, that is one of the writers. He has written as famed for the historians, British labor movement that time, towards the end of the 19th century. He has first, the terms has come, he has used these terms as collective bargaining. But the meaning of this, collective bargaining, it is a process of joint decision making and basically represents a democratic way. Sit together, discuss, lot of argument will be there, debate will be there, and lot of solution will come out. So this is in a diplomatic way, in a democratic way, the solutions, what are the solutions or alternatives are resolves the solutions. That is basically the collective bargaining. Now, further, it is elaborated different way. The collective bargaining has been defined in the Encyclopedia of the Social Science as a process of discussion and negotiation between two parties. One or both of them is a group of persons acting in concert. So it is clear. So collective bargaining required groups where the groups or parties and more than one persons are required. So there, what are the discussion points and finally the agreement points are to be noted and to be followed. The resulting bargain is an understanding as to the terms and conditions under which a continuing service to be performed. It means some guidelines, some of the theory, or some of the principle, some of the norms, some of the policies has to be formulated based on this program. I mean, the collective bargaining discussions. Now, functions. Now coming to the functions of the collective bargaining. So collective bargaining itself a number of important functions. It is a rulemaking or the legislative process in the sense of that we formulates terms and conditions. As I said earlier, that is basically the what are the discussions are coming. That points that all these alternatives, that is are basically all the rules and the legislative points are coming up. All these are basically the function of the collective bargaining. Or we can say with the outcomes. Labor and the management may cooperate and work together over a certain stated period. So during the collective bargaining process, it may 1 month, it may take 2 months, it may take so many months, so many meetings, maybe number of meetings and number of joint meetings may required. So all the labor side and the management side, they have to have a very calm and quiet and disciplined way. They have to cooperate and work together for a certain stated period, basically. Then only we can see the good collective bargaining. Structure of collective bargaining. Now we are coming to the structures. So collective bargaining structure refers to the regularized patterns of union and management interactions. So there should be some of the structure should be there, and the network of the institutionalized bargain relationships. Every bargaining structure comprises of bargaining levels, bargaining units, bargaining forms, and bargaining scope. So these are different. So this is all made structures. What the things are there? First things, within the structures, some level should be there. Number two, units are there, and it forms. What are the bargaining? Some of the forms will be there, and scope. What are the jurisdictions, limitations or jurisdictions confined, the area to be confined for the discussion points. Now, nature. In the nature is very important because the employer does not deal with the workers directly, but he deals with a collective authorized institutions. It is an institutional mechanism. So that's why it is very important. The very disciplined way everybody has to follow. So what is this mechanism? First things, fixing of the price of labor services. So first things for these things to achieve the nature, fixing the labor services. Number two, But B, establishing a system of industrial uh, jurisprudence, prudence. So that is number two. C is you're providing a machinery for the representations. So what type of machinery is required for these representations, that has to be decided within the framework. And providing a machinery for the representation of individuals and the group interests. Now, coming to your contents, what should be contents of the curves? So there are contents. Collective bargaining is, among other things, a rule making or non-creating process of a bilateral kind. So bilaterally, you have to discuss and decide it. So there are three different kinds of relations which are regulated by your substantive rules. Some of the rules are there based on these. So what are the kinds of relations? The number one is the economic or market relationships. Number two is the governmental relationships and workplace relationships. So that three kind of relations are there which are regulated by the substantive rules. Now, elements of the collective bargaining. What are the elements? So there are two types of bargaining exercise. One is known as conjunctive, or we can say the distributive bargaining, and the other is your integrative, or we can say cooperative bargaining. So we can remember in both the way, or basically distributive bargaining, or you can see the cooperative bargaining. There are two. Again, it is further divided in three elements in the systems. First thing is the type. There are two types. Then after that, there are three elements in the system of the collective bargaining. So now here, within the systems there are one is issues for considerations. First things, what are the elements? So first element should be what are the issues to be considered, or I can say some agenda points which are point to be discussed. So this is the things, the issues pertaining to union recognitions and union security come up for the considerations when the organizations or the workers are weak, and they struggle for the recognitions by the employers. So this is our first things. It should come under the issues of the considerations. Then collective bargaining, we can say, is a flexible concept. So it is a natural give and take policies, basically, before the final agreement is reached or the final settlement is arrived. So something you have to compromise, and some of the things you have to try to achieve the things which are really needed for the employees. Or in terms of the union, they have to see for the behalf of employees, things are moving in correct for the beneficials, and then we can go for the agreement for the settlement process. So it doesn't mean, suppose there are 10 points, issues are theirs, and or agenda points are theirs. So they have to they have to approach the things to the management, discussion going on, collective bargaining process is done. Now they come to the final agreements or settlement. That time it may be achieved. Then okay, management has agreed some of the things. management has some of the things they are not issuing, they are not allowing the things, or it may be not considering right now. So Iran has to see the if the 70 to 80% their agenda points or the issues are solved, so they may agree for these things. So that's why it is a give and take policies. It gives a mechanisms for organized relationships between the management and the trade unions. So it provides some of the mechanisms for these things. The heart of the collective bargaining is the process for a continuing joint consultations and the adjustment of various problems of the organizations. So it is some of the relationships, and for this, some of the mechanism has been developed between the management and the trade union. How nicely the process can be smoothly and in a seamless can be done. Again, the if you see the today's partnerships, today's collective bargaining process is based on upon the some of this statutory law is there. So we have to obey, we have to follow some of the rules. What makes collective bargaining possible in this context is that both labor and the management have an ultimate harmony of interest. So here actually I'm just highlighted, I bold these letters, harmony and your interest. It means maintain the uh, maintain the situations in a very positive way, so that the productivity should not be hampered, or the labor work time should not be uh, uh, less. I mean, should not be lagged behind anything in the production side and other side. So time is the essence of any company or any organizations. So that you have to keep in mind. So whatever the things that is going on, where the time of the productions or productivity should not be compromised. So that's the harmony of the interest. The desire another thing to assure the fun for which they work and from which they are both paid, because both the things has to be balanced. What the things you are paying, you have to judge yourself, say yes, what I am getting the salaries, I am justifying the things the works. So it is very a lot of things are there. Inner minds study is also required. So you have to develop the workers in such a way so that they can keep in mind, always, not only for his own interest, and company interest is also to be that type of attitude, that type of attitude, it should triggers in the mind always. You should not think always for your own things. So we remain in business. So all both the things are to be things. So in order to stay in business, it must be competitive with other firms. So if your workers, if your if there's something loopholes in the process, something the good harmony is disturbing, when a company's workers' mind is disturbed, so it may affect in the product and health also. And finally, you will not be in a business, I mean the competitive business, other firm will be take away and they can go ahead for this thing. So you have to keep in mind also the company, because it's a competitive market. So that is another use issues. But today's perspective, so that's the today's collective bargaining process is not so easy. So it required a lot of I think skills are required, a lot of skills. Settlement. Settlement is defined in the section 2P. of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947, where it has been written, it is and emphasized, there are two categories. One is the settlement, which is arrived in the course of consolidations of proceedings, consolidations, and another it is arrived with the assistance of the or concurrence of the counselors, consolations process. The officials will come and see the things, what are the issues are to be there. It may be financial problems, it may be some other things, a grievance problem. So that has to be somewhere has to give us some solutions, which are the best solutions has to give. Should not keep on longer or keep on in a red tape. Should not be any red tape process. So it should be clear as early as possible, so that some settlement can be done. So some expert consolations officers should be there, so that he knows how to how to diffuse the disputes or the calculations, and some of the experience he can give it ideas. Another thing is, another part is the settlement agreement, because sometimes all the discussions and is not sufficient. You have to the second stage that should be recorded somewhere. It should be in a part of your affidavit. I mean, some agreement should be there between the employer and the workman arrived at the otherwise then the course of consolations proceedings. So it is very much required some of the agreements, which are the discussions, and after the settlement, it has to be recorded. Then agreements, again the collective agreements, the range of subjects which may be covered by collective bargainings and the agreements is very wide. Some arrangements, some agreements are short deals, and only a few matters are there. And sometimes maybe agreement is very long. So elaborated codes which cover a great many aspects of the industrial relations. And some respects, they constitute a kind of industrial legislations regulating the conditions of the employment of a vast number of the employees. So some of the indications are, which are the things are mainly important. The list indicates some of the main items which are included in the collective agreements. So during the collective agreements, we have to see which are the things are important things are there, especially in the aspect of industrial legislation rules. First thing is the wages, where you can say the basic salaries and how 8 hours works, time rates, then your piece rates somewhere. So in the production, there you have to have a daily 10 pieces you have to produce the things. So that type of things, which everything should be recorded in the agreement. When you are joining in the company or with the unions, it has been agreement should be there. The 8 hours, half an hour only lunch. So everything are, you can see the policies or discipline or agreement, same things. And other incentives payments, and also it is written, if you are, suppose your productions is given eight pieces, all and above, if you extra 2 or 3 pieces extra you are doing, then definitely you have to get some incentives. And overall, as a team, some productions department will declare, in particular this month, that production has increased by 7% or 4%, whatever the things. So that is a pro rata basis, everybody will get this profit of things as a incentive payments. And procedures for the fixing rates of the new jobs. Now, collective, another part is the hours of the work that has to be in the agreement. What time, then shift, your shift working, then the rest 3 years, everything are how many tiffin times or lunch time, whatever the things, that has to be recorded. Annual holidays and the rates of the pay for the holidays. Maybe there are some of the CL, casual leaves, you have to different decided for 10, 7 days or 10 days. Medical leaves, or you can say the some extraordinary leaves. So everything are maternity leaves. So all these things, the annual total holidays, maybe there are Saturday, Sunday included, or some of the factories there are only Sundays, and some of the national holidays are included. So this is the way it should be. Everything ought to be agreement should be there. It should be written in the agreement. And sick leave and the leave of the absence from the other reasons. If you are taking a leave for the without any permissions for the 1 month or 2 months, then salary will be deducted, or maybe termination letter will be issued, or maybe the remainder. So notification, everything are to be written. Seniority rights with regards to layoff and the retrenchment. Suppose if you are laying some of the, so definitely you have to senior persons who is working for 5 years, 10 years. So you have to see what the way that everything has to be written. Discipline enforcement, suppose the degree of the punishment, or if you absent for the your every month or timing, you are not in timing time consecutively 3 days you are in late, so maybe 1 day salary has to be deducted or half a day. So that type of things are things. Discipline is all part of the disciplinary actions. That has to be enforcement, already retention. Training for the workers and apprenticeships. So that is also to be there within a year. If it is a skill development purpose, some training is required or not, or maybe every year they should have some 5 working days, 5 days training man hours, or 10 man hours, or 15 man hours are required for the training purposes of the workers, for his self development and for the production purposes. So from the organization point of view, everything. So it should be also to be in the agreement. Then French benefits, including the suppose the bonus and others, so children allowance or your health allowance or car allowance. So many things are there, depending on the organization to organizations are there. So that benefits are also to be. Then some production standards are there, including satisfactory quality of the output, method of increasing the productivity. There also everything are there. Joint consultation procedures, then methods of, it is all are to be part of your agreement. What I'm talking about is methods of settling the grievances and disputes. What the way it has to be, if any grievances are there, if any disputes are there, how to settle that. Methods has to be written. Provision of the strikes and the lockouts during the period of covered by the agreement, that is also written. If you are some strike for 2 months, 3 months, definitely it will be huge loss for the company. Then that things is has to be bear by the part of the things are for the workers also. So somewhere it will be any balanced way it has to be written. So that because it is it should be unavoidable, because strikes are nobody knows. These lockouts, then it may be a big drawback for the companies. So if suppose the lockout is there eventually, then what should be the rules? Yes. Something has to be written, something has to be there. So that or suppose some workers in the strike period is going on, somehow is legal or on the right way. So that time at least 15 days salary they should be provided by the company, as long as the strike period is going on or the discussion process are there, like this, so that there won't be any problem. So everything during the agreement, it is subsequent continuations, procedure for the negotiation and the new agreement, and if something are not negotiable, so what will be the what the way to negotiate the things, any arbitrators or the negotiators are appointed are required or not. So in the agreement will be there. So now here actually before all these things we have discussed, that is the what should the contains, what is the required, and previous slides with these here, everything are the collective agreements, whether within the agreements what the things have to be there. So now we have to see success. condition for success of collective bargaining. So, because that should be a motto of any organizations. The process should be there, issues will be there. That is unavoidable. It will be there. Success of the collective bargaining depends upon the following factors. Some of the factors are there. If the organizations follow these things, so definitely we have to success will be there. First things, the collective bargaining is to give the voluntary recognitions to trade unions as one of the contracting parties. Then it also have the positive benefits of improving the industrial relations and productions and productivity. So you have to keep in mind always some in the positive things is required. So willingness. Second, another thing is that this willingness is very important to give and take by both the parties, and the interest of the part of the both to reach the agreement. Because when there is as a management side and from the union side, ultimate aim should be there. Some agreement should be here. At least maybe there are 10 points. So at least 7 to 8 points should be sorted out, and some agreement should be there. Otherwise, if it is keep on longing, there is no settlement or agreement or process, not then unsuccessful. Because how long you can continue the things? So that's why some willpower is required. Both the party are to be settled down in the mind, some things. So aggressions or negative thinking, it will affect the success. So there should be willingness to give and take by both the parties, and interest of the both for the agreement and to make collective bargaining work. So trade union should refrain, because what are the trade firm, their mind should be reframed. They have to join together, discuss the things, positive outlook should be their attitudes for putting the forward aggregated demands. When they are putting the demands, it is that demand should be realistic. Means the demand should be realistic and it is feasible. Management can be given, because if the things are not feasible, it is beyond the limitations, so then it will be a creative problem. So that's why the mind is reframe the things. If you have 10 points, so okay, management is agreed for 7 points, okay, let it be finalized and settle down. Another balance 3 points, maybe we can take care in the next sessions or next time or next year. So this is the way union has to be there. So that's why the aggregated demands, that has to be, it should be reframed things. So that means the union members has to be educated. The leader, basically the union leaders, has to be educated. They have to be positive minded attitudes. They have to willingness to be there. So then it will be very successful. Definitely it will be success. The success of the collective bargaining depends upon the following factors. Again, some of the factors are continuing. Is now number 4. The whole atmosphere of the collective bargaining gets heated. The relations between become the bitter and strains nature. Negotiation is more difficult, because if the some argument and bitterness, not respect is not there, then we cannot be achieved things. So that some mutual respect is very much important. So some unfair practice should not be there. Should be in a very standard way. You have to agree the things. You have to sit in the meetings. You are not attending the meetings. You are walk out from the meetings. Then definitely it will be a problem. So they have to ensure that all the members are present, and their mindset is also different. So I highlighted some of the in the portions, the main things that it is the essentials of the part of the ability of the employers and unions to hold meetings at regular intervals, to consider the matters of the common interest. Because The consistency is very much required. So meetings in the regular intervals where maybe the first meeting where some of the things and issues are there, the issues are not solved, maybe due to some discussion or convincing power is, I mean, they are not convincing in at all. So maybe slowly let them think for it sometimes, maybe the some due course of time, definitely will come out with a good proposals and revised demands can be produced. So that's why the regular interviews are very much required. But it has seen most of the companies, when their regular meeting is going on, within the meetings, that sometimes the demands are modified. Maybe the reduce earlier was there something, maybe the 15% bonus is required. So finally, somewhere you have to review things. So this is that's why I highlighted the things as a for the common interest. Another, there's so many things, effectiveness. The collective bargaining cannot be attained without the maturity of the leadership. As I said, that the leadership skill is very much required. Intelligent collective bargaining demand the specialized trainings. Now, coming to this point, because some specialized training is required. Those who have already earlier done or they are sufficient knowledge where they have to silence, where they have to take some actions, and behavioral of the behavioral science, they have to know it, measure the things, mind reading. There are all type of skills are required. So that's why intelligent. There should be intelligent collective bargaining demands. Specialized training is there. During the training, they have there should be officers or expert on these things, how to deal the things. Everybody cannot be deal the things. As you've seen in the border also, when the some of the China and India, some tussles are going on in the border areas. So what the way the seniors are jointly they are meeting is dealing certain things. Very sensitive issues. At that time they have to deal very intelligently on these things. Keeping and with the national interest, they have to see all these things. So that's why some special skill is required. Now, the coming to the negotiations. This is actually occasion. The negotiation means when the people are sit together and to deliberate their things, and it is a very complex situations that time. So that's why the workshops defines the negotiation process is a occasion where one or more representatives or two or more parties interested in the explicit attempt to reach as jointly acceptable positions, one or more divisive issues. So, so it is also another skill required for the how to negotiate the things. So negotiation is essentially a process of advancing the proposals, how to advancing the things. Negotiations are should not be stopped. So that's why the discussion and the criticisms also will be there. What are the criticisms that also to be noted and try to sort it out the things. You have to respect the workers and the unions wise. You have to what that they are saying in this is maybe criticize. It should be, but it has to be clarify the things slowly. Explaining and exploring. With all the important points I'm just highlighted, bold, so that if you clear the thing concept, then definitely you have to understand the what is the negotiation process. So first thing, the advancing the proposals, then definitely you have to discuss on these things. Then definitely there some criticisms will come out. Some that what are the comments that has to be recorded, has to be sorted out. Then you have to explain again and again to clarifying the things. And finally you have to explore the meaning of this. Seek some acceptance. After that, you have to again put in the proposal or in the table, in the meeting tables, the acceptance for everybody's and counter proposals are the modifications for the similar. Then finally it will be the evaluation stage. So these all are the this is by the Dale Weather. He has defined the things as a negotiation process. So these all are the steps are basically the steps of the negotiation process. Then other so many writers they have developed some of the models also. The proposed by the most of financial influential models. That is the things are we have distributed bargaining, and then other things are also there. So attitudinal structuring process and functional of which they achieve the consistence things are there. So now I have to go for the some of the guidelines. So some of the guidelines are there. So that follow the guidelines. There's don't be afraid the negotiations, because if you are afraid the things cannot discuss anything. So let us never negotiate out of fear, but let us never fear to negotiate. These all are written by the different authors. Don't negotiate when you have nothing to bargain with, or when the broader objectives must be prejudiced. So where basically the things a guideline is given. If you are cannot negotiate the things, then you have to see accordingly. Mutual respect, as I say, the mutual respect and the trust are the fundamental requirements, especially with a win-win strategy. The style of the negotiation will depend in the part of the qualities and the skill of the parties involved. Skilled negotiations will include the better deals. So identify the decision making of the other parties, other side. Now, here actually I'm just highlighted some of the things. Principled negotiations was developed by the Harvard Negotiations, the project, and published in a book. The title is They Are Getting to Yes. The books are there. They are hard on the merits, soft on the people. There are some process names are there. The goal is to decide the issues presented in the negotiation tables. And under the principled negotiations models, the first objective is to separate the people from the problems. So that is the idea behind it. And the another thing is principle that the negotiations, the approach is highly desirable in ongoing labor relations. But mostly it's unfortunate, but most of the cases, as I see, the negotiations are difficult. Then there's a hard bargaining postures of things rather than the things. So, principled negotiation is characterized with the more mature bargaining relations, unlike the hard bargaining approach, which is frequently found the less mature relationships. So, it is because they have not skilled enough, they don't know how to negotiate the things, and the less mature, they know how to, the due respect are not there. So you cannot, first you have to develop the relationships. So now some of the things are things for success of the negotiations. Another, always do your homework, because most of the cases it has found out that during the meeting the representatives are not prepared at all. They are just simply come and just maintaining the time, and the attendance is required. That's why it should not. So they have to prepare for this. Some of the homeworks is required. Always feel free to ask questions. That situations to be, that type of environment should be there. Always feel free to ask the questions. Listen to what other persons has to say. This is also important. You have to listen to the others. Maintain attitudes of the respect for other opposite at all times. Honor the whatever the commitments made, because to honor, if somebody has committed the things, so as a team, everybody has to follow this. Adopt a friendly tone, because there should not be any boss or something. Everybody are equal, so we have to friendly. The tone should be also there. You have to modulate your tone when you are discussing the things. So these all are the parameters required. the things for the success of the negotiations. Skill and trace of the things, because some, as I said, that some of the skill and some of the attitudes are required for the negotiation as a team, negotiation teams. What are the attributes of successful negotiators? Set the clear objectives. First things, you have to set the objectives. Number two, don't hurry. You have to go through this in details. When in doubt, call for a the caucus, so that can be discussed. Prepared. Remain flexible. If something alteration is required, you have to be ready for these things. So that means some of the acceptance levels are. Continually examine. You have to every stages. You have to examine the things. Why the other party acts on this? Then your respects face savings tactics employed by the oppositions. Then attempts to ascertain the real interest of the other party. It is an art, because when you are discussing, so you can try to understand what is the real interest of this thing, what are the points that are really there. Keep in mind, it is very difficult to go away from their mind, because when they are decided things, so that interest of the particular the party, what they're saying, you have to listen carefully and actively listens. If you are actively listens, then definitely you can identify what the interest of these things. Build a reputation for having the fairness and firmness. Controls emotions, because you have to control your emotions. If you can't see your aggressions, you can say your softness also. So that where the emotions are required, due required, you have to follow these things. These all are skills required as a team. Remember the evaluate to each members, each member of the move of the relations and other negotiations. Measure the bargaining moves against the ultimate objectives. Pays close attention to the wording of the proposals. So in the proposals, what are written very closely, every word you have to should not miss some of the things. Attention. Remembers that compromise is the key of successful negotiations. Understand that no party can afford to win or lose. So that things you have to understand. The things. Tries to understand the people. People, you have to understand the people. Then consider the impact of the present negotiations on the future relationships of the parties attribute to the negotiation teams. Because today maybe some of the agreement you are forcefully you have done something. It may not be willingly they have done this, but in long run it will be giving some effect. So as a negotiators, as a team member, you have to see the futures also. Future relationships should not be disturbed, because maybe as a negotiator or something, maybe you are favoring the companies for timing the things or deprive the workers. Somehow you have to give some forcibly, or maybe some of the based on this your skill or convincing power, you have done some things. But you have to keep in mind, because in long run it may be effect. So that part is also. So last, the 17th point, considering the impact of the present negotiations. This is all for the future relationships, very important. So negotiating team should consist of 3 to 4 persons, and team should be very less. Suppose the negotiation team is long, then definitely it will be a problem, because it cannot be concluded things. Every negotiator have a different mindset, different questionings. So you cannot jointly discuss the things. So that is also another issue. During the negotiation, the members should be less. It should not be. Some of the cases I have seen in the meetings, and my experiences, sometimes 7 or 8 persons are there in the negotiations tables. So within the negotiators, sometimes there's a lot of conflict, even a lot of arguments I have seen, and they are not come out the things, solutions, and settlement sides. Even in the union side also, they are limited leadership. There's So that's why it has been standard practice are there, and it has seen because 3 to 4% you can tackle it, no problem. But if it is more than that, suppose the union side there are 7% of sittings, and here as a negotiator only three, then it may be possible. So that's why the in the negotiation team, I mean from the labor side, from management side, union side, whatever the things. So there should be limited. So 3 to 4%. That's why I'm highlighting the things. So this is the way I think I can discuss some of the things now. Tactics, because the rank without authority to commit the management on the regulation system. So in that some practice or strategy should be there. So during the things, this culture is one of the important organizations and the different environmental factors are there. To participating the type of union operatives. So it is also a bad strategy to depute some control. As I said, suppose you are deputing some of the persons is low rank authorities. So you cannot commit the management but the management level and the negotiating table. Some senior level should be there so that you can give us some commit. So leadership is required because when the rank is very important, and so definitely the negotiation process will be very easy. As I'm just trying to correlate some of the suppose for the election campaign, but the people don't know who is your leaders. Suppose so it will be create a problem because people are thinking in other way because the other lower leaders are convinced, their leaders are propagating the things for discussion and with the people, but who will be the leader? Don't know. So that case, it sometimes suspensions are doing in the mind, and maybe they are not taking that type of commitment in the management. So that's why the higher rank people should be there. Their commitment are to be considered because the labor union will be happy. Okay, that some general manager is in the meeting and he has committed a thing. So definitely some beliefs, some trust will be there. So that's why it is a practice. People are sometimes the organization sending somebody. Okay, you go there and discuss with your trade unions and some peoples. I will not go there. So that should not be because the rank is also important. Anyway, as a measure of the follow-up, the evaluations, what are the follow-up? That is evaluate the prevailing environments, then they train and develop the rank of the file managers, the groups, then they develop the specific action plans. So now I think I've completed all the units, your 10, 11, and 12. Now I have to give you some of the questions. I think I have collected some of the different exam papers or something. So the type of questions from your this collective bargaining unit law, unit 10, 11, 12. So questions may come in define the collective bargainings, then discuss the type of the collective bargaining, which you have already discussed. So this type of small questions you have to keep in mind during the study, your course materials or any books, you have to keep in mind the questions also. So explain the structure and process of the collective bargaining. I have covered up most of the things. So it is for the future study. And what type of questions likely to be coming in the exam? Discuss the emerging issues of the collective bargainings. Discuss the emerging trends in the collective bargaining in India. Discuss the steps that may be considered for promoting the collective bargainings in India. Then short note on the productivity bargaining, because it is some of the productivity bargaining basically settlement some things. I mean which agreement type which I have already discussed. So productive bargaining subjects where this much productions are required, for that you have to obey the things. Some agreement should be there. Then your questions may come what strategies are to be adopted for the marketing, for the making the negotiation exercises and the meaningful. So that strategies just now we have discussed. Then discuss the negotiation process, and then your uh, discuss the stages of the negotiations, discuss the negotiating guidelines. Already I have discussed what are the guidelines are there, and the short note, that is your negotiation skills and your strategy in the negotiations. So this type of questions are normally uh, uh, coming in the exams, and I have to just collect it in this way to showing these things. So just to go for just for your types. Question number two, the types of the collective bargaining. As I said, there are two types. As you know that uh, your conjunctive and the distributive types, and the integrative or cooperative. So only these two type you have to return, and you have to elaborate a little bit. That should be half a page is sufficient, because it's all are short questions, maybe 5 numbers. If the questions patterns are like this, it's hardly 5 marks. So you have to write some half a page, or maybe with 150 to 100 words sufficient. Structures, you have to give it some structures. That type you have to see following structures. Yes, there are labels are there. Uh, Different structures you have to mention. Then your yeah, emerging issues. As I said, the emerging issues in the collective bargaining, question number 4, emerging issues. So emerging issues where you have to just say wage bargaining, then women's issues are there, then job security, productivity issues are there, technological changes, and then your quality of work life. These all are coming under emerging issues. What I am saying, that is the things. First things, your wage salaries definitely will be the main issues. Then women issues are also there, job security, and then your health issues also. Actually, I just missed out the something in emerging. Health is also one of the important issues. So all these things you have to highlight the things. Then in the in India, when it is an emerging trends in India, that time you have to give a concept of the some of the things. Your marketing concept are very important, because you have to see the condition of the China are already covered up our market, not only our market in the worldwide. So we have to very good relations with the management and the unions, so that we can have a better product can be launched quality wise. So that is one of the market concept. Is the government concept is also important. Then our collective bargaining process. So this is the all our things are there. So I think I'm just trying to highlight the things, so that you should not miss out the things. And the negotiation process I already discussed. That is your the preparation for the negotiations, then opening the things, then bargaining and closing. This is the step by steps. What the way you have to process it. Then your uh, guidelines. As I said, the guidelines that are, don't be afraid to the negotiations. Don't negotiate when you have the nothing to this. So these all these things are discussed, so that you can have a better idea for the blockchain. So I think this is the way today's sessions are almost completing now. Today I have to complete now. So now, okay. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year's 2024 once again. Thank you. Thank you very much.